I don't play World of Warcraft anymore. I haven't played since the very start of Shadowlands. There were massive issues with the systems in the game, and I just didn't find it very interesting. And I didn't find the story massively compelling either, which is what I play RPGs for. But there's a new expansion been announced today. There's a cinematic, there's an hour and a half or whatever it is live stream, there's various bits and pieces of key art. I thought I'd take a look at them and see what they're like. I haven't watched this yet. I've heard some of the key features of the expansion. Doesn't sound like there's a huge amount there. Sounds like there's some reasonably derivative things there as well. But let's take a look and see what we have to see. It is not my intention... It's not my intention to talk smack, to say bad things about this. If you are after some kind of massive outrage reaction, that's not likely to be me. I don't tend to do outrage, really. But I'm interested. I'm interested whether Blizzard can turn the game around as well as turn their company ethos around. But we're not talking about the company. We're not talking about the executives or the higher up. I've got some strong opinions on those. But the opinions of the higher-ups and the things that the higher-ups do are not necessarily reflective, in my opinion, of the devs on the ground. They're the people just trying to make a living. Let's take a look at this announcement cinematic. Stuff. Blizzard Entertainments. Used to be the gold standard 10,000 years ago.
The world has been sundered.
Yes.
It cries out in pain.
Pretty, as always. The cinematic team
go to its aid.
always does amazing work.
We entrust our ancestral home to you, the Watchers.
Uh-huh. Stuff is being done.
Let the land slumber.
Atmospheric.
Hidden, even from our own eyes. You will feel our return.
So this is the Dragonflight
of the land.
leaving the Dragon Isles.
Then you must light the beacon of Tearhold, lest the path home be lost to us forever.
But it is. Past tense. Hello? Nice. Something has happened to wake them. Ooh. I like the slightly granular stone nature of their movements. Yes, looks like the whole place has gone to shit. And is he the only person to have woken? Yeah, everything's missing their faces, which is quite disturbing. Very rousing music. Yeah, clearly everything has gone to hell here in the last 10,000 years. And the beacon has not been lit. Oh dear. This will put the thing back together? Maybe? It should have put it back together. Whoa! This watcher is pulling himself apart. Ugh. The lighting is spectacularly done. Ugh. No! Nice catch. So this is Alex Strasser. Who is quite large. Didn't take them long to get there.
The world is healing.
The world's
But
still...
her fate is yet uncertain.
The world's still got a bloody big sword sticking out of it. Which they kind of need to do something about.
Together, we shall be Azeroth's protectors once again. Here, the new age of dragons shall begin.
Dragonflight. Learn more at worldofwarcraft.com. As always, the cinematics team just doing amazing work. You know, in terms of spectacle, they do it really, really well. Frankly, no huge surprises there. The artwork that they produce is amazing. The music that they produce is amazing. The concept stuff that they do is amazing. It's whether they can translate that into a game that people actually enjoy that, in many people's opinion, they haven't really been very amazing at for quite some time. As I said, I haven't played most of Shadowlands. I've kept up to date with it. I know what's been going on. I know the storyline, etc., etc. I've not played through any of it myself. I never had any massive issues with the systems as they were, simply because I'm a solo player without a guild who just doesn't care about end game balance and PvP arena and blah 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 blah. I cared about the story. And the story, from what I've seen, hasn't been very well told, frankly. So this is it's a return to Azeroth. It's returning to the dragons who have been reasonably popular in terms of protagonists and antagonists in the story. It's about time that they moved their story forwards. But Alex Strasser's idea that the world is healing, what are they doing about the bloody great sword in Silithus? Because as far as I'm aware, that's still there. Nothing has been done. Unless I've missed something right at the end of Shadowlands. I don't know. The world does not seem to have healed very much if you've got a bloody big sword sticking out of it. Let's look at some more bits and pieces from this. On the subject of excellent artwork, this is the key art for the expansion. This is a massive piece of artwork linked on MMO Champion. It is, as you would expect, a beautiful piece of art. I've already heard, because of course we have, already heard people saying, oh, I don't like Alex Strasser's redesign. They've taken away her chest. She's not like a top-heavy fantasy maiden anymore. Seriously? The over-sexualization of characters has been an issue in Blizzard stuff for a long time, and you think, oh yeah, she's lost some boobage. It's a cool picture. It's a very cool picture. Lots and lots of detail in it. I'm a big fan of the kind of classic painterly style. I suspect this has been digitally painted as always, but I like the rough style. Seeing things at this kind of resolution where you can actually really see the texture of the brushwork is not something that you get to do a lot in artwork. Normally you'll see it at 1080p or 720p in a video thumbnail. Actually being able to see it at whatever this actual resolution is doesn't tell me on there. It's a massive picture. In fact, does it tell me on here? 12,960 by 8,000. Big piece of artwork, really impressive. Beacon, dragons flying, huge mountain in the background. It's got your typical high fantasy, classic, look at me kind of status of art. We've also got this World of Warcraft expansion reveal stream, but it's just over an hour long. I have no desire to record my reaction to that. So let's skip back to the website, because I've actually skipped past all of this in order to find the trailer. So what have we got feature wise? New race, Drakthir. I think I saw some photos of those. I've got some opinions. New class, Evoker. So the Drakthir can only be Evokers, and Evokers can only be Drakthir. So they've tied the race and the class together. Healer and range DPS starts at 58 with new starter zone. Does that mean they've raised the level cap to 70? Wears mail armor, so that gives it some use. Dragon riding. New skill to ride a dragon that can be leveled up over time. So is that going to be an expansion gimmick? I suspect that's going to be an expansion gimmick. Talent tree revamp, UI overhaul, profession transmog, 4 leveling zones and a starter zone in the Dragon Isles. Level 70 is the new level cap. Cinematic trailer, press kit, Dragonflight beta, opt in. Let's take a look through some of these. So this is just the cinematic, which was cool and impressive. Liked. And here we get some actual, it looks like Northrend. We've got Tuskarr are in it. There we go, expansion saved. These screenshots are clearly taken from the live stream, so they're not going to be super high resolution. But as I've said, in terms of art direction and aesthetic, WoW does really, really well. You know, I've often said that in terms of stuff to look at, World of Warcraft's art team do a fabulous job in comparison to my main MMO, Final Fantasy XIV, which, because of its slightly more realistic style, really suffers when it shows you those many, many low-res textures up close. WoW's got a much lower polygon count, obviously, but it's made this style its own. This reminds me of Mount Hyjal in terms of its overall kind of flowers everywhere. That's a really low resolution screenshot. Nice golden plains. Again, that reminds me of Grizzly Hills. So this is one of the Drakthir. I think they look shit. I think they look really, really bad. They don't look good at all. I wouldn't want to play as that. From what I've gathered, that is a form that it can take on. I just think it looks dumb. It looks bad. It's got no character to it. It's got a really long, dumb, elongated face. Its wings look meh. Its arms look sausage-like. It's got no shape or power behind it. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good at all. And depending on how... If it's like Worgen, where during combat you switch to your Worgen form, if this is the combat form of the Drakthir, I would never play one. They just don't look good. Yeah, it looks like it's combat form. No, they just look wrong. Their faces look more beak-like than anything. I mean, you can give them all the cool-looking breath attacks and special effects that you want, but if your base model looks dumb, Who's going to want to play it? Looks like they can fly for a bit. Also looks dumb. It's just rectangular. It's got no shape to it. And it's got the face looks smug. It's like, no. Looks silly. Sorry. Is this what they're like on the character select screen? That looks slightly more impressive. And this is their humanoid form, which is basically an Auror from FF14. Let's not beat around the bush here. It's a dragon person. Now, of course, Auror aren't actually technically dragon people. But it looks like it's going to have your Auror form and your Worgen form in the background, and you'll be able to switch between them. These are quite cool. Certainly more interesting looking than that thing is in the background. If we could play as a draconic person for the whole time, yeah, that'd be sweet. I'd quite like that. But I don't want to play as the dumb dragon form. Cool hair options, cool horn options. Again, these look really mystical and cool. Blue dragon aspected, although oddly with the green one in the background. That's not a flattering picture there. I don't even know what you could do to this to make it look decent. It needs more upper body power. It needs wider shoulders. It needs wings that look more impressive than they are. The Blood Elf form, because that is a Blood Elf model, isn't it? The Blood Elf form looks like it's got more power in its shoulders than this thing has. Why would it narrow down when it turns into a dragon form? No. New talent trees. Okay, so it looks like we've got druids talents and then spec talents, and then there's a PvP thing over to the side there. In fact, it says just behind me here, resto loadouts. So it looks like we're going to have a set of talents for druids and a specific set of spec talents. Keep in mind that I'm a druid player, technically. The thing I always liked about Bear Druid, which is what I played, was that it was very straightforward and I could concentrate on what was going on around me rather than having to piss about with a load of buttons, which is why I struggle with DPS in my Final Fantasy videos, if you've been watching those. If you haven't, go check those out. Self-plug. That being said, I like a talent tree. And this one looks pretty complicated. To be fair, it looks like there's a lot of stuff available in this. Work in progress, obviously. But the switch, was it back in Legion or was it further back than that? To the flat rows of, pick one of three. Did it streamline the game? Yes. Did it change things for the better? Arguably. Let me explain what I mean by that. The old classic talent trees, where the points that you were putting in were really dull. So, yeah, you've got plus 0.5 to crit, or the basic stats shit like that. It's like, that's not interesting. This, especially because it looks like we've got little numbers for tiers, this looks like it could be going back that way. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Whether I'm going to play it or not is who knows, realistically. They've redesigned the UI. They did say they were doing that, actually. So they've updated artwork. They've changed the portrait frame slightly. It certainly looks like there's more space on the screen. And it's modular, so you can move stuff around, so you don't need to use an add-on. I really think add-ons are the killer of WoW. Take Candle? Is this for the professions thing? So this is the mining. Yeah. Blacksmithing recipes. They've changed some bits around there. Weapons, armor, profession tools and gear. Yeah, so they've got actual stuff that you can do with professions. So again, they're taking it slightly more towards FF14's. Your profession is actually something worthwhile now. It's something that you can spend time doing rather than one-click crafting. some people are going to absolutely hate that, because there's a percentage of people that cannot stand the way Final Fantasy 14 does it. Be interesting to see whether this goes full FF14 or whether they pare it back a bit and still leave it with some of that WoW kind of ease that it currently has. Commission crafting orders. Oh, so you can commission people to craft stuff for you now, is what I'm assuming that is about. Recraft available. Interesting. I guess this is the dragon riding thing, which is probably only useful to see in flight. That's a proto-drake. That is not a dragon. Cool statues in the background. Again, hampered by the fact that these are low-resolution screenshots, but it's much faster for me to go through these than it is to watch the hour and 10 minutes worth of bits and pieces. Yeah, I do like those statues. Yeah, that's cool looking. Wish you could make the dragon forms look that cool looking. Oh, this is Wrath Classic. Yeah, I was going to say that's Frostmourne. So Wrath of the Lich King Classic. Wrath of the Lich King remains probably my favourite WoW expansion, because it was Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King. Cataclysm was the last one that I bought the collector's edition for. Was it Mists after Cataclysm? And I didn't play Mists when it was a thing. I'd quit by then. And then it was the one that everybody hates with the alternate timeline that I can't remember the name of, which I actually quite liked. What's it called? The one with the dark portal. Don't know. That shows how much WoW has managed to stay in my consciousness. Wrath was a good time. You know, you had your villain showing up all the way through. It was the last time I think that they've done that story type well. Weaving the story. Ancient Azeroth, the Sundering, big dragon versus little proto ones. Ysera, Alexstrasza, Deathwing. Again, these aren't particularly high res, unfortunately, because they're captured. Oh, God. That looks like Thousand Needles. It's not, but it looks like it. Those look like the little oracle things. It would kind of make sense, actually, if they were back. That looks impressive. I assume this is the place that we saw is capital city of Dragonkind. Got different coloured banners for different towers, the different Dragonflights. That looks like a Titan Watcher's place. This looks like Elwyn Forest, actually. Nice volcano. Love a good volcano, me. For a land that's fallen into disrepair, it still looks reasonably clear. That's the artwork that we've already looked at. I don't know what these things are. They look like odd duck things. Is the best that I can put that into words. Odd duck things. Yes, very scientific. Nice big open plains. Lacks the fantasticality. That's not a word. Lacks the fantasy. That'll do. I think just about. Of the zones in the Shadowlands. It looks very back to basics. Back to nature. There's nothing super spectacle there. The ghost thing? These are the Centauri people. That's a cool hut that you've got there. Yeah, so these are the guys that... Was it Desolus? That we used to have these tribes? I can't even remember what they're called now. Oh, but we had the warring factions. Are they still in modern WoW? If you do that zone? I have no idea. Not a clue. This looks like a green Dragonflight area. We've got some Worgen there, I think, and a green. I don't know what they're called, but this has got more detail to it and a nice kind of tonal shift as well. This looks more interesting. That looks like one of the Lost Vikings there. I don't think it is. I think it's probably a frog or something. But again, looking at low res screenshots. The interesting thing about WoW's aesthetic is that even in low res like this, you can still see the art style coming through. This looks like a graveyard or something. There's a kind of a prowly beast there. Azure Span and Thaldrassus. Oh, so this is showing off the different zones. So this is our Grizzly Hills style zone. Like the contrast of the orange and green. Some concept art. That is cool. So you've got this expanse of orange and green, which is already a little bit of an interesting step up from the green rolling hills of before. And then you've got this gigantic ice-spiked fortress in the background. And there's a dragon just perched there, as well as the ones flying around. So I'm assuming these are blue dragonflights, I would imagine. But that's a cool contrast, and I'm a big fan of icy zones in general. This looks very Vrykul, doesn't it? In fact, this looks... Isn't this just the village from the Vrykul starter zone in Wrath of the Lich King? Can't remember what it's called. The one on the right-hand side. Howling Fjord? Was it? No. No. This looks like... This looks like the Vrykul place at the south of Grizzly Hills, where you've got those burning fires in the middle, and you're after... Is it Ivor? Who you fight with a drake on top of the tower there. That's what this looks like. Maybe it's the same piece of artwork. Maybe that's what they're saying in the video at this point. Interesting details, again, to make the zone a little bit more cool to look at. That looks like a giant shield. Or a helmet. So we've got some ruins. Love a good ruin. Gigantic icy cave. That's a really good sense of scale, considering I assume this is a player character. Here. Got some... they look a little bit like elementals. Now, actually, no, this isn't a player character. This is an enemy with an elemental summon. And some spiders. Yay. Tuskar. Woohoo. Not playable, I imagine. They're cool. So we've got some kind of pestilential gnoll type enemies. They're nifty to look at. Yeah, like those. Again, I like the art style. Got various ones there. Tuskar Village with their kites, their boats. Yeah. Blue Dragon? Or is that Kalagos? Oh, I think that might be Kalagos. So they've redone his model, maybe? Does he always have pointy ears? Not sure. Grand sweeping archways. This is more what you expect from WoW with its fantasy. That's very Titan. Floating islands, dripping water. Yeah, you know, your classic tropes. That's impressive looking. Although, interestingly enough, my first thought looking at that was Alexander. The Final Fantasy IX version. Lacking the wings. But that was the immediate thing that popped into my head. It looks like Alexander. It's got the crown, it's got the shoulders, the arm buttresses. That's a tenuous thing at best. This is kind of classic quest hub design from WoW. Reminds me of the witchy place in BFA. Nice cool trees. They're very reminiscent of the trees in the Blood Elf starter area, which I haven't played in years, but that's just what it makes me think of. Yeah, this is clearly a quest hub of some kind. Some draconic guards. Draconids, they're called, aren't they? If I remember correctly. Column tops contain green gems akin to medallion. So this was the big central tower. So they're showing off concept art for... Moving on. Don't know what's going on there. Is that showing them in relation to player characters that we've already got? Size? What's this thing? That's cool looking. Kind of a mantis style thing. It's getting breathed on. See, that's more of the face that these new Drakier should have. Something with a bit more chomp to it. A bit more power behind it. Rather than kind of It makes me think of, if any of you have seen Beetlejuice, the film from the 80s, when he stretches his face out like that with the eye. That's what it makes me think of. I'm assuming those are new mount designs. This is... yeah, that's a dragon mount. Hood user interface and talents. That's a cool piece of artwork that you've got in the background there. So this is the current state of the hood, and I assume there's going to be a... No, there isn't. Well, this is the current state of the hood, isn't it? Like bars upon bars stacked up at the bottom. Lots of space available on it. But this is the kind of defaults. And this is the new one. There's not a huge amount of difference to it. That's designing the new griffin heads, which you can take off. Move those around, that's fine. I like the gradient, actually, on the bars there. That's quite nice. Lots there. Lots there. Iconic new locations, dragon riding of the Drakthir Evoker, hood UI talent and profession improvements. It doesn't seem like it's got many selling points, is my initial impression. It doesn't seem like it's got many new things. Sure, it's got refinements to older things. Ah, here we've got some actual proper screenshots in. See, this is much clearer. Yeah, you can really see Blizzard's telltale aesthetic here. That looks a bit odd. Almost like the head's a little bit too big for the body. They've clearly upped the poly count for these. That's a cool looking enemy. Fire giant of some kind. That just looks dumb. It doesn't look like there's any power behind this at all. And yet it's got this massive gust of wind. Not sold on that at all. Yeah, that's cool looking. I'm sure there will be people that really love the look of the Drakthir, don't get me wrong. Yeah, they are the little oracle dudes from the basin in Wrath of the Lich King? Shalazar? That was it. See, I do remember things. Tuskar! He's got cool glasses on. Yes. Really, really like the aesthetic. That's cool. Big volcano sanctum. I say. Yeah, I think the stuff that I've been... Ooh. That's cool looking. Those are cool looking. Proto Drake style things. Set armor? Tier armor. Those are cool designs. Tying into different elements, I guess. Yeah, those are very cool designs. It's their upper bodies, I think. Their upper bodies have got no power to them. It almost looks like their thighs are thicker than their torso. Now, I know that is a thing. That can be done. But if you are a winged creature, you need the structure in the rib cage to hold things to, and it's just not there. So you've got these kind of dumb looking faces with these long necks and these weak ass chests and then these big thighs and of course your kind of backwards bent reptilian legs. They need more upper body. They look like the dragon form from Dark Souls. And that was supposed to look ancient and decrepit. These guys... I think that is the coolest looking face. I think it's actually when the mouths are closed that they look the dumbest. And just the box-like nature of them. No. But the humanoid forms look cool. You know, these are proper kind of... this is what the Aura are in FF14 with the scales. Except that I really struggle to like the Aura design in FF14 just because of how plasticky the scales look. I know that can be fixed with mods. Hopefully it will be fixed with HD textures as well when they get round to that. But that's going to be a couple of years yet. These look cool though. These look cool. If we could play as these for the whole thing, and maybe have a spectral overlay of a dragon, or dragon bits when we use certain abilities, I'd be perfectly okay with that. I have no desire to play as one of those. But yeah, these are cool customization, and I like how they're tied into the different Dragonflights. Male versions, again, all Blood Elf based models, aren't they? These. Bronze, red, green, black. No blue, interestingly enough. But again, cool scale options, and I imagine there will be plenty of customization options. Oh boy. Talent system changes. Class tree and a spec tree. Class tree offers class utility, spec tree offers things to help you perform your role. Picking a spec is important. Class tree will have some abilities granted for free to start you off in the spec you've chosen, and you'll have a point to spend somewhere else in that tree. Opportunity to put a lot more art and fancy into the talent UI itself. Yeah. There's a danger there with focusing too much on aesthetic as opposed to the meat and potatoes of it. UI revamp. I'm interested in this. Technology has changed a lot since the default UI was created back in 2004. People now have bigger monitors, and the team has better dev tools to work with, so it makes sense to finally update the UI. Game art evolved, but the UI has been frozen in time. Customize. Not everyone uses add-ons. So they've taken some of the functionality of add-ons and put it into the base UI. I mean, that makes sense. Art update, big part of the project. Modern take on the old UI, removing clutter. New minimap and health bars. There's an edit mode which allows players to move elements around the screen. I mean, if Final Fantasy XIV can do that from the start, you know, a decade ago on the PlayStation 3, you'd think, wow, in 2022 could do that. Save layouts by spec. Yeah, that's all good. Story-related stuff. Dragon Isles of the Broodlands for Dragonflight. Sundering during the War of the Ancients split the land and caused the magic of the Dragon Isles to go dormant, causing the dragons to leave the isles. Yeah. Titan Watchers left behind was supposed to call back the dragons if the elemental energy ever recovered. Dragons are returning to cultivate their homelands. Focus on exploring the culture of dragons in Azeroth. Changed quite a bit in the past 10,000 years. Much of the story will revolve around Wrathion learning to regain the power and respect of his flights. But is he the right leader to take over? Question mark. Well, you wouldn't be raising that question if ultimately it was probably going to be, no, surprise, it's somebody else. There's an ancient half-giant elemental race prominent on the Isles that are the enemies of the dragon. Tuskar will feature prominently on the Dragon Isles. Race of centaurs there. Main theme of the Dragon Isle is exploration. There will many hidden secrets. There will be many hidden secrets. The theme of this expansion is reclaiming legacy and rediscovering who you were before everything went awry. A little bit like Blizzard have to do. Maybe. So yeah, those are my thoughts on this. Oh, this is new since they've been laying the groundwork for the expansion since before Shadowlands. Zones of the Dragonflight Isles not particularly themed after specific flights. Each zone has powerful links to a particular flight. Dragon Isles are very vertical. A lot more exploration than in Shadowlands. See, that's interesting. Zone order will remain the same for everyone on the first character. Telling a linear story is not easy if you can go wherever you want. Each individual zone will have a lot of freedom. Continent encourages exploration. Different reputations unlock new stories as you progress. Team thought the new race early in development. New talent system was a way to address the constant new systems without adding new systems every expansion. Way to return to your roots in a sense. Maximum customization. The trouble with a talent tree like that is that there's going to be within a month, I'd say, of the expansion launch, there is going to be a best in slot talent for every single spec. There's going to be a this is your best bet, and all of those extra customizations and stuff will be wasted development time. Which was exactly why they changed out of the talent tree system in the first place. And then even when they changed it to the pick one of three, there was still a best in slot then because they can't balance it. So Yeah. Again, Final Fantasy XIV doesn't have talents at all. Just everybody's the same. And it works. And it's down to your player skill, rather than have you chosen the right talents. I don't know. Dragon riding, you'll be able to reach certain locations and do things you couldn't do with normal flying. That's cool. Profession revamp, UI revamp to bring us into modern era. Team doesn't want to take away your add-ons, but wants you to be able to play the game without having to rely on so many. Horde and Alliance are working together in Dragonflights. Team isn't perfectly happy with personal loot, knows there's room to improve. Tier sets will remain. Improving on Great Vault from Shadowlands. Never used it, obviously. It's weird. I love the dungeons in Final Fantasy XIV, but the ones in WoW bore me to tears because the combat in WoW bores me to tears. It's so spammy. Bronze Dragons will allow us to see unique stories involving timelines. Rathion's a big part of the story. He's never seen these lands before. See, that's interesting. I like that. That's a cool little note. Because of course he hasn't. He was born after all the Sundering and stuff. Yeah. So, new WoW expansion revealed. Needs work. I feel like for an expansion reveal, they needed to get this right. If you're going to introduce a new character, race, and class combined, you need to make sure it's right. That's a fail from me. Frankly, that is an L, as the kids say. I think. Don't know. I'm way too old. This stuff, cool. This stuff, well, admittedly, that one looks a little bit daft. Cool. This, not cool. This, it looks like he's prancing. He's doing a little dance. It looks like I've caught him mid spinning around emote from Elden Ring. He's just going to do a little spin. There's no power. There's maybe in motion they look better. Maybe I'm being too harsh on still images, but it's not even the fact that the screenshots are taken from a live stream and are therefore naturally a little bit artifacty and low res. It's the actual physical makeup of this thing. It just looks dumb. But everything else looks cool. Let me know down below if you even have watched the video this far. If you have watched this far, well done. Thank you for putting up with my rambling. Let me know your opinions on the features in general. Some of the stuff that they've created here looks really cool. Some of the stuff sounds very, very cool. There's just these dragon models which look ass, and the talent tree system is going to be skirted round by the majority of the player base as soon as they find out what the best in slot stuff is. And I think if they make the profession stuff too involved, then people will hate it, because you might have to have some patience, and yeah, patience is in short supply. The actual the big cinematic though was really, really cool, and the key art I think looks really funky. Frankly, I think that looks really, really good, even if Alex Straza is no longer an anime waifu, for those of you who desperately need her to have a massive chest. Have yourself a wonderful day. Thank you very much for sticking with this and watching my stream of consciousness of thoughts for almost an hour now. And I'll catch you in the next video, whatever that'll be. Cheerio. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, why not click the like button and consider subscribing. Remember, you can ring the bell notification icon to get notified when new videos go live. And until next time, cheerio.